It is 17 hours GMT. Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM.
Coming up in this broadcast, at least 3 Efia dead and more than 40 others in critical condition in dynamite explosion due to ongoing road construction on Tutuwaa Highway. We will take you live to the scene of that accident shortly.
Also, deadly weekend in Ghana as over 20 lives perish in fatal road accidents across the country. We have details of that for you. Plus, tell you efforts being made by the National Road Safety Authority to address road carnages.
And later in the bulletin, we ask which side becomes majority this week as Parliament returns from recess tomorrow. We will hear from the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, who says the NDC will trigger processes to ensure they assume majority from Wednesday.
I am very certain that Parliament and Ghana will go through a major constitutional test. And that constitutional test is that the NDC minority must become the majority from Wednesday next week.
Well, tonight we'll look at Presidents Plus, get expert opinion on this particular matter, and we'll return to the Upper West and provide pupils, desks to learn as you did in opposition. That's former President John Dramani Mahama challenging Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as campaign for December 7 polls intensify.
I challenge him to visit the schools in Upper West that do not have furniture, and he should provide them with furniture like he was doing when he was in opposition.
And later on the campaign trail, we sit with the NDC parliamentary candidate for Tema Central, Ebi Bright. We have the details of these and many other stories in this broadcast. Do stay.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM.
Thank you so much for joining us on Star today here on Star 103.5 FM. We are also streaming live on Facebook at facebook.com/Star 103.5 FM. We invite you to join us with your thoughts, your comments, your views, and contributions to the stories we'll be tackling this evening. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah, and I'm here with
Tutuwaa Danso. Now, we begin our bulletin from some disturbing breaking news from the Central Region Tutuwaa, where at least 3 persons are feared dead in a dynamite explosion on the Tutuwaa Highway. We also understand that more than 40 persons are in critical condition. Let's go live to that area and engage Charity Ohenewa, who is an eyewitness. Charity, thank you very much for joining us on the bulletin this evening.
Good afternoon, and it's a good evening.
Okay, Charity, we want to first of all understand. We know you are an eyewitness there, so kindly run us through exactly what you saw.
If say, fair one. I'm blast here. I blasted. They had somebody walk on. I didn't see I'm afraid any idea yet, so you just don't know. I walk on. The net of mine, the woman can't try. Or made to mine the entrance is in a bed. I will go walk on. Remember what fear? No, your friend will come and say, Blast here. I blasted. I'm in a quality. I am fair, and as I hear let you know, not a blasted. So go for 18, I'm more than 16. I'm not sure among one. And kind of day, yes, I'm more hospital. If you have Salamo, yes, Salamo, you to be another station, I'm asking my friend. Yes, Salamo, much money. I'm a show movie and
Charity, I am Starr FM. Now, me per se Mensah here. We say, from what you are saying, no authorities now are informing me prior.
I'm not for me. Say never also. Oh, wow. So I didn't see myself. But I'm boy. I can't see. Join him and I yet on the issue. So anybody no man pray.
Okay. Now, as an ACCI, a idea at I see, oh, Mompatim ho.
Oh, yes, I see that the NC a idea obvious area mu obvious in fear. That what a stage into my 5 years a day. Ya be fear. Now, in the day, I heard, and as I heard, so man can't try. Oh, my too much try.
Dynamite, no matter blast or kaswa ho. How often do they do that?
Oh, I'm a brother by 7 to 10 going. No, my day, ye try the tonso. The 10 munu. No, my day, I'm a brother Syria and no be a new farm. In that day, I want to say by 12 to 3, you know, my brother said, nah, Ekuma for you, Ekuma for my. Say, I want
Eh, is it the case, say, or more blasted dynamite and not in Crawford Nam ho?
don't go for what my man can bring it and say, oh, I'm running. It's 1 year, I year to my dear, and I want what say sauce. And then I'm putting your brains, I didn't blast it. I blast
Yeah, some clarity. What's say nipa hine and nipa hinsu nipra? Oh, we lost Charity there, unfortunately, and she was just giving us details about the dynamite explosion that has caused some injuries.
And it's quite intriguing because, I mean, from the narration we are getting from her, usually these things are done in the morning where people...
At 7.
Exactly, where people are not necessarily around. But from what she's telling us, there was no prior indication to what was going to be done.
When it was
and it
conducted
happened
at 3 p.m.
Yes, and...
a time that you'd expect a lot of people to be around. And she says it was done around the market. So you'd expect that so many people will be in the markets at that time.
And we'd have to let listeners know that Charity is not a reporter. She is an eyewitness. She's someone who saw what happened, and so she's given us that account. And she spoke in Chi, basically chronicling what for them happened in the area. But we'll be speaking to our man on the grounds. We'll also get to engage police personnel and get to know what the challenge really is with regards to the situation there. But let's get on the phone lines and speak to Yao Bojang. He is our Central Regional Correspondent. Yao, thank you so much for joining us on Starr today. So tell us, what do we know so far about this explosion?
Yeah, so what actually happened was that a contractor who is working currently on Winneba, Kaswa to Winneba, on that dynamite this afternoon at around 12 p.m. and that led to 3 market women. As at now, they have passed and lost their life. As about 40 of them are also in critical condition and are receiving treatment at the Winneba Trauma Hospital as at now.
You are confirming that from what you've picked up, 3 people have lost their lives as a result of this.
Yes, please. It has been confirmed by the doctor. Actually, these 3 market women died at a spot. Yes, they died at a spot because they were working at that area, and it is near a market center. So the 3 of them passed at a spot, and 40 of them also injured. And in fact, they are in critical condition, and as I'm speaking, they are all at the Winneba Trauma Hospital, and the disease too has been sent to the mortuary at the same hospital, pending autopsy and investigation.
Now, from what we have heard from you as well as the eyewitness, clearly this is not something that is new to the area. So, what went wrong this time around?
Yes, actually, what we know is that before the contractor would blast the stone using dynamite, they usually make announcements for those who are at the area to get prepared or hide or go elsewhere or get their things gathered before before the stone. But this time, there wasn't any announcement. They are just there, and this happened. And actually, they normally do this in the evening or at the night where the market women, are closed and they are various houses. But we don't know what's happened. This time they did it up to while people are on their, usual work, doing their business. So it's not common to the area, but they normally do it at the night or in the evening where nobody is around.
So tell me, have you been able to get word from the contractor on this particular development?
Yes, as at now, he has not, talked to the media yet. We are yet to get in and have, an interaction with him for him to also explain what actually happened on the side of the contractor.
Very well. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the update on this development. Quite a sad one there,
Very
Tutuwaa.
unfortunate development there. It was least expected. Considering the fact that the weekend was already plagued with so many road crashes. We expected less horrific stories, especially on a Monday where the week has literally just begun. But let me just refer to a Twitter post made by one Dr. King Winter, and he says that a very bloody and nasty accident just happened at Kaswa Big Apple. They've been constructing a highway and they just blasted dynamite on some stones. The stones killed and tore at least 5 people on the main road, blood and body parts everywhere. That paints a really gory picture of what is happening there. But let me just take a few of the comments. And Lamp Oil says that no prior warnings and evacuation orders or how. Hey, this country, dear, if you survive every minute, you forgive special thanks. Because King Winter comes again to say that they assume, say, you no go touch anyone. Then I aim the new force says my shop was close to it and I was very lucky for my life. These people had killed 8 people, rather not 5. Almost 30 people are injured. We are still waiting for the real facts of the issue.
And it's terrible when you look at the videos on social media. It's serious. And the concern here is that usually the people around are pre-informed, and so they vacate the area before any such thing happens. Now,
so
these
what
are
happened this time
exactly
round?
for 3 market women to lose their lives.
Honestly.
It's a sad spectacle, but definitely we'll keep our tabs on this one, and we'll be able to get more details as and when they roll in. It's a sad one indeed, but of course, clearly, it's not the only sad incident. Unfortunately, it was a weekend that was marred by heartbreak on Ghana's roads. At least 21 lives were tragically lost in a series of devastating accidents that have left communities in mourning. Now, the deadliest of them occurred early today when a VIP bus traveling from Kumasi to Enchi veered off the road near Kwapia, close to Obuasi. Now, the bus, reportedly overloaded after picking up passengers from a broken down vehicle, plunged into a ditch, killing 13 people instantly. Now, this comes just days after a similar tragic accident on Friday claimed 6 lives. Now, the driver of the Sprinter had reportedly attempted a dangerous overtaking maneuver, leading to the fatal crash. Now, as if the grief of these accidents was not enough, Accra saw yet another tragic incident on Saturday where 2 unidentified individuals perished when a Jaguar, allegedly driven by a minor, collided with an Acura at breakneck speed, sparking a fire that consumed both vehicles. So basically, how is the Road Safety Authority intending to address these accidents, and what measures are we putting in place to ensure that we reduce the carnages on our roads, especially as we are veering into an election period, as well as a festive season.
Exactly.
You know how the National Road Safety Authority usually beefs up campaigning and then tells us that we need to take really some serious caution on the road. And I don't know if you saw the videos over the weekend.
I did. You know what's funny? That I was in Kumasi last week, and
when you left me here,
when I left here, which
sadly.
I regrettably did.
In fact, there was no regret in that. I from the videos and the pictures you sent.
I'm happy that you've been able to detect, but I almost joined one of the buses. You know, I don't know, for some reason I just told our superior that I was exhausted and I couldn't come with them. Because if I had done that, I'd have bumped into that accident. I don't know if you remember that accident.
Yeah.
It lasted for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
Cars were not moving because of that road crash.
On Friday, I
thought,
think.
exactly, that was going to be the height of it. But what happened on the Kumasi to Inchi Road? Terrible.
Gory.
Terrible.
Gory.
Terrible.
And
And the recent one with the East Legon one.
Yes, over the weekend. I mean, anytime I watch that video, I for someone who usually loves when cars are moving fast, I never
you love
loved.
fast cars.
Who know, like,
I don't.
well, if I bring a Ferrari, we'll see. Yeah, but I mean that was a Jaguar,
Honestly.
and the speed at which, like, I mean.
And my major concern was with the age of the driver. I don't know
16,
if it's
so
been
we are told.
confirmed, but we hear he's 16 years
That's
old.
what we are
And
told.
why would a 16-year-old be allowed on a major road? It's okay if you're learning how to drive in a private space where people are not, there. But you're on a major road, threatening everybody's life.
So you know what? What we're going to do is that we are going to solicit your views. What are your thoughts on the carnages that we've seen? I mean, in since last weekend till date, we have seen about 21 lives lost as a result of road crashes. Send me your thoughts.
Preventable
Preventable,
deaths,
highly
yeah.
preventable deaths. So please send me your thoughts, your comments, your views and contributions. We're streaming live on Facebook. Do join us there and send us your thoughts. We'll go for a breather. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with the National Road Safety Authority on exactly what they are doing about all that we are seeing. Stay.
Accra gets ready for the ultimate sporting event of the year. Starr 103.5 FM, your number one radio station, presents the Starr FM 10 Diplomatic Games.
On Saturday, 26th of October, the world's top diplomats gather for a friendly competition like no other in Accra, Ghana, under the theme Breast Cancer Awareness. Feel it, find it, fight it, and remember, there will be free breast cancer screening.
The venue is the American International School Sports Complex, East Legon, Accra. Time 8 a.m. prompt. The dress code is sporty pink. Activities of the day include
Soccer, volleyball, tennis, obstacle race, indoor games, and more.
Who takes home the gold? Look out for our colorful and exciting children's corner. Join us live at the Diplomatic Games with commentary from your favorite Starr FM hosts. Don't miss the action at the Starr FM 10 Diplomatic Games on Saturday, October 26, 2024 at the AIS Sports Complex, East Legon. Remember, attendance is absolutely free, but registration is compulsory.
Visit www.starfm.com.gh to register for free. This event is in partnership with American International School and supported by Sahara Rise Hospitality, Accra Medical Center.
I'm saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa already with free SHS.
Akufado, minya wudienye, wuye bwe, bawumia, minya wudienye, wuye bwe.
Hey, Mommy Jane Fua, why are you so excited this hot afternoon?
My sister, when I remember what free SHS has done for me and my children, I can't help but be happy for what Nanado and Dr. Bawumia have done. You remember when I lost my husband who was the breadwinner?
Yes, I remember very well.
There was no hope for my 3 children to go to school until Nanado and Dr. Bawumia introduced free SHS. Now my children, Kofi, Esi, and Kodjo, attend all these big schools. In fact, do you know they are saying they want to review it? That's one. Some of their people are saying that they should cancel. Others too are saying they should make some people pay the fees.
Hey, they want to do their thing again. Who is going to pay and who will be going for free? They want to push we the poor people aside and start using their connection men and protocol to access the free SHS life-changing policy.
That is why we have to do everything in our civil rights to make sure they don't come and spoil this good thing for us.
This free SHS policy that Mahama and his people said is not possible. But now see,
it is possible. This year, we are voting to protect the free SHS. Vote Dr. Bawumia, number 1 on the ballot.
As part of the increased effort to ensure free, fair, credible, transparent, and peaceful elections in Ghana.
The Electoral
Commission EC will display the 2024 revised provisional voters register once more online from Tuesday 15th October to Saturday 19th October 2024. After the last exhibition exercise, the EC has corrected all errors and discrepancies detected. The objectives of this second exhibition exercise is to give registered voters another opportunity to check their personal details on the register and put in claims for correction of such details if any, and also know their polling stations. All registered voters can check their registration details via their phones by dialing *711 *51 hash on all networks for free. Registered voters must go to the EC office in their district to get necessary errors corrected. All political parties must use the template provided by the Commission to submit errors detected in the provisional register. Please note, after this period, voters can still check their details on the register but cannot request for corrections in their data. Participate in the exhibition of the voters register to verify your details and polling stations to avoid disappointment on voting day. Your vote is your future.
Participate in the exhibition of the voters register.
Fellow countrymen and women, the desperate NPP, realizing that they are losing the 2024 elections, has once again resorted to lies to smear the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The NPP's claim that Mahama was against free SHS and will cancel it when elected is nothing but a barefaced lie calculated to deceive you. John Mahama started the implementation of the progressively free SHS program in 2015 with day students and had a clear plan to expand the program to cover borders, hence cannot be said to be against free SHS. What he has been against is the poor implementation of the program. Contrary to the lies of the NPP, the next NDC Mahama government will improve the implementation of the free SHS program to make it better. We will do this by scrapping the double track system, provide a dedicated source of funding for the program, include private SHS, improve the feeding of our children, and enhance the quality of learning outcomes. Listen to the truth from the horse's own mouth.
Free senior high school education has come to stay. If anybody tells you that I, John Dramani Mahama, son of E.A. Mahama, will abolish free SHS when I come, tell the person he's a bloody liar. What I'm against is the poor implementation of the free SHS, which is creating great inconvenience for the parents, for the students, and for the teachers. And one of the things we'll do when we come back into office, and I know inshallah we're coming back into office, is to complete the 200 community day schools that we began, so that we can bring a quick end to the double track system.
Beware of the NPP's lies. Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Today, first, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from the break. This is still Starr today here on Starr FM. Let's do some other stories now. And as Parliament resumes sitting from tomorrow, October 15, 2024, the big question on the minds of many is if the governing New Patriotic Party will be able to maintain its majority stance in the legislature house. This is because the NDC has already served notice. It will demand the expulsion of some MPs from the majority side from Parliament in line with Article 91 clauses 1G of the Constitution. Article 97 1G states that as an MP shall vacate his or her seat if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to Parliament to join another party or seek to remain in Parliament as an independent member. Kodjo, incumbent MP for Suhum, and his colleague MP for Agona West, Cynthia Mamili Morrison, who both entered Parliament on the ticket of the NPP, are now running as independent candidates in the December polls. Hence, the threats from the minority. But before we bring you those threats from the NDC MPs, let's take you back into time, specifically November 2020, where Speaker Okwe delivered a ruling which declared the Fomena seat vacant after then NPP MP Andrew Amakwe Siama filed as an independent candidate. Listen.
In Parliament, if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to Parliament to join another party or seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member, the petition from the NPP Constitution, which the MP freely subscribed to, provides in Article 391 that a member of the party who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected member of the party, or who joins or declares his or her support for another political party or for an independent candidate when the party has sponsored a candidate in the general or by-election, automatically forfeits his or her membership of the party. After 7 December 2020, when Parliament is still in session, till 7 January 2021, how does an MP operate both as an elected independent MP and at the same time an MPP MP if he should win the election? This lacuna of a ridiculous situation is not what is anticipated under the 1992 Constitution. In the circumstances, Parliament it is determined that the conduct of Honorable Andrew Amoako Asiama amounts to vacating his seat in Parliament. Accordingly, we bring this to the notice of the Electoral Commission for the necessary action to be taken in accordance with the law.
Professor Aaron Michael Quay is a former Speaker of Parliament. Now, addressing a rally over the weekend, the Tamale South MP and former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu said they will demand a true and proper interpretation of Article 97, which is, he is confident, will lead the NDC being named the majority.
On Tuesday, the Parliament of Ghana will reconvene. And when it reconvenes, I am very certain that Parliament and Ghana will go through a major constitutional test. And that constitutional test is that the NDC minority must become the majority from Wednesday next week. I assume, and this must happen if there is constitutional and legal propriety in Ghana, because any nuanced interpretation of Article 97 provides that if a member of Parliament on a political party ticket like MPP defects and fails to be independent, that MP ceases to be member of Parliament. And if an independent member of Parliament, by virtue of the provision of Article 97, subclause G, an independent joins a political party, that independent loses constitutional recognition and does not belong to Parliament. And even if an NDC candidate, MP, defects to become an independent, he ceases to be a member of Parliament. Therefore, we will invoke the Speaker's proper and true interpretation of Article 97 by our standing order.
That was the former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu expressing optimism about the NDC being named majority in Parliament come Wednesday. Let's go over the phone lines and have a conversation on the back of that. And joining us is the Executive Director of Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman. Doc, thank you very much for your time this evening. What are your initial reactions to the position of the minority on this development?
Well, it's very interesting. I think they are riding on the back of the precedent that was set around this same time 4 years ago. So there's a precedent. They are riding on that. But it was a completely different parliament. The political kind of space was completely different. The portrait of the 7th parliament is not the same as that of the 8th parliament. This is going to tilt the balance of power, is going to get the ruling party lose its slim majority in the House. I'm not too sure whether they are going to take this lying down. So it's going to be very interesting days ahead. I mean, this week is going to be a very interesting week in Parliament.
But you talk about the precedents that the minority is falling on now, but there's a school of thought that precedent really was inappropriate. Do you agree?
Well, that's why I'm saying it's going to be very interesting because, with these different interpretations, it means that Article 94, 97 or whatever the article is not very clear, because if different people, even lawyers, are giving it different interpretations and faulting the Right Honorable Speaker Okwe for the judgment that the ruling that he made 4 years ago. We might end up seeing this case in the Supreme Court. The party that is going to be affected will be asking for judicial review and interpretation and clarity of that constitutional provision. And 2 months before elections, this might be a case that is dead on arrival.
Right, but
if it ends up in the Supreme Court.
Okay. As you said, 2 months just before the elections. How impactful will this be if it even pulls through?
Well, it will be very, very impactful because, yes, maybe it might be for a short period of time, but we might go down in history as, an instance where we had a president who had a party that did not have a majority in the House. And I believe that that's the history that, the NDC will be making with this, even if it doesn't impact significantly on legislative and government business. But, despite the brevity of the period ahead of us, if it turns out that the NDC is majority, there's still government business that needs to be transacted. And I'm sure that certainly things are going to play out in a very interesting way. Late as it may be, we are going to see a lot of negotiation, a lot of compromise, and so on happening.
Right. But on the back of that, do you think the government business is likely to suffer some setbacks?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, government business, especially if maybe there are issues that the NDC already disagrees with. Some unfinished business in the last parliament. During the emergency recall, there were a number of businesses that were not concluded, i.e. tax waivers. The minority took a position that is different from the majority. So assuming that something like that comes to the House and the NDC is majority, that business might suffer one way or the other unless maybe some kind of compromises are agreed upon. So yes, time is short, time is running out, but it's still enough maybe for some damage to be done, if I can put it that way.
Dog, if Parliament decides to go to the letter, the provisions stipulated in Article 97, what do you think will happen to the NDC?
Well, the NDC will be majority, so that's what's going to happen. The NDC will be majority, and then perhaps maybe most of what they've been clamoring for over the last 3.5 years that they did not get, I'm sure they will try to see what they can get within this short period of time. But you see, the other long-term implication for the NDC is that, for instance, if the party and the individuals involved decide to smoke the peace pipe, and then you get these independent, those who have expressed their interest to go independent, decide to go back to their base, it might affect the fortunes of the NDC, because a divided majority is in the interest of the NDC. So if you go to a constituency where already the NDC has its base, the MPP's base is divided, I think history has taught us that, then the party that is contesting against the sitting MP is likely to make some inroads. So that is the other.
Right, Doc, please carry.
Should have thought about before maybe pursuing what they are going to pursue tomorrow.
Doug, we were all here on the eve of January 7, where we saw what happened in Parliament. You know, the NPP MPs went to Parliament and literally slept over, just to claim the majority side of the House. What are we to expect this Wednesday? Any drama?
Right now, I believe, much will depend on what the Right Honourable Speaker says. So I don't know what conversations are happening right now between the Right Honourable Speaker and the two parties.
Right.
So the MPP, issue a directive that the members spend some time in the constituency and so on. So I think we were not expecting very much in terms of what happens in this during this meeting. But this is going to change the scenario altogether.
Doc, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you. Dr. Rashid Rahman is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Speaking there, but let's still stay on politics this evening, because as the campaign to the December election intensifies, former President John Dramani Mahama has thrown the gauntlet at Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia to provide furniture for schools in deprived communities in the country. Now, although the government touts its record in the education sector as unmatched, the NDC presidential candidate revealed some 1.3 million pupils do not have furniture to study and resort to using stones or the bare floor. John Mahama, during a community engagement at Efia in the Dafiama-Busi Isa constituency of the Upper West region, wondered why the NPP presidential candidate has turned a blind eye on the situation, unlike when he distributed free desks to schools in rural communities in the lead up to the 2016 elections. But before we hear from Mahama, let's take you back to when Dr. Bawumia justified 8 years ago when he spoke on Accra-based Joy FM.
You are looking at children without desks. When I saw the story, honestly, initially, when I heard the story, I could not believe it. I really could not believe it, because if you are looking to be in charge of the economy of this country, inshallah, as vice president and head of the economic management team, one needs to be very familiar with the ground. And I'm doing a lot of these trips to really be able to assess for myself, what is the situation, what are the needs? And so when you go to an area and they tell you that kids are lying on the floor and studying, you ought to go and see it for yourself. I saw it as a duty to go and see it for myself and see these poor suffering kids and do the little that I could to help. And that is exactly what happened. Of course, in the process, the government got very embarrassed.
So you should visit more schools.
Yes, I am getting, I'm getting a lot of invitations by schools, because they think that maybe if I come there, the government would actually provide them with the things they are looking for. So we're going to do that.
Well, John Dramani Mahama has thrown a challenge to the presidential candidate of the ruling New Patriotic Party to continue with the gesture as the situation persists.
Mahmoud Bawumia, when he was running mate to Akufo-Addo, he used to come and roam in Upper West here and look for schools where there was no furniture and see children sitting on stones. And he would take pictures and go and say, I visited this school and they didn't have furniture. NDC has failed to give him furniture. Today, 1.3 million basic school children have no furniture. During NDC time, he will visit and he will donate furniture to the school. Today, 1.3 million basic school children in Ghana have no furniture. And yet, he is in charge of the budget today. He doesn't even need to use his own pocket money to donate that furniture. He can take it from the budget and buy furniture for those children. Why is he not doing so? I challenge him to visit the schools in Upper West that do not have furniture, and he should provide them with furniture like he was doing when he was in opposition.
John Dramani Mahama is the former president of Ghana. Let's go over the phone line so and get some responses on the back of this educational development, because we've been joined by Nsia Kofi Asare. He's the executive director of the Africa Education Watch. Mr. Asare, thank you very much for your time this evening. Currently, how many pupils are estimated to be without desks? Well, we are trying to go over the phone lines and engage Insia Kofi Asari on the back of Mohammed's claims that a number of pupils are without desks and are studying either sitting on the floor or perching on several other desks. And he's also throwing a challenge to Dr. Baumia, who had earlier criticized the development to provide desks to senior high schools. We understand that Mr. Asari is back on the phone lines now. Mr. Asari, thank you very much for your time this evening. Currently, how many pupils are estimated to be without desks? Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Asari. Good evening. Thank you very much and welcome to Start Today. I believe that you may have not heard what I asked you earlier, but what I want to find out is how many pupils are estimated to be without desks?
Well, the last time we scoped the sector and reference to the data from the Ministry of Education out of 2021, the number of pupils without desks stood at about 2 million.
2 million pupils?
Yes, and that was the case that we needed 1 million desks because we used dual desks. We needed 1 million desks to sell the 2 million pupils. That was as of 2021. Between 2021 and now, we've seen some supply of desks under debt fund, but the situation still remains dire, especially in deprived schools and then in rural areas.
Now, in the earlier sounds that we played to our audience, the former president is throwing a challenge to Vice President Baumia. But from where you sit, what really is the stumbling block in preventing the provision of essential desks to pupils in basic school?
Let me take you back. I mean, 12 years ago, 30% of pupils did not have desks. By 2014, 30% of people did not have desks. By 2021, the percentage has increased to 40%. It gives us a historical context to the issue of deskless children. It's a function of deficits in financing our education system. And as much as we have schools under trees, you definitely would expect many schools not to have desks because both the hard infrastructure, which is the building, and then the soft infrastructure, which is the furniture, are all a function of investment. So the challenge is that we have not invested adequately in education infrastructure. And in the past 7 years, we have been overwhelmed with investment in secondary education. That hasn't created a deskless situation because there was a system before the three senior high schools rolled out. But that has further constrained government efforts to invest more to solve the deskless situation. And so that is why we still have schools without desks, and then we still have schools under trees in Ghana.
Now, beyond the investments being a challenge, do you think that as a country we have overly politicized the situation?
Of course, the politicians have always used the education sector as a chewing stick, and then when they come into power, it harms them. When you politicize education, it comes out to haunt you when you come to power, because a lot of the issues we are discussing are systemic issues. They are not political. I don't think any political party will come into government and decide that I will neglect a particular section of education. I don't think so. It will either be, it will most likely be an inadvertent or an unintended outcome of investing in another sector of the education space to the detriment of the other. And as I explained to you, the extensive investment we've seen going into secondary education and expansion to accommodate the up to 1.4 million children who are in school as a result of free secondary education obviously would come at an opportunity cost, which obviously means that government would not have the same, leverage, the same capacity it would have had to invest in basic education. But what I want the politicians to appreciate is that schools are not trees and desks have been with us, and we need a systemic approach to solving it decisively. For now, we are doing firefighting. Once we get some funds, we throw it at them. But the challenge is so fundamental and systemic that we need systemic approaches to ensure that we not only ensure all schools under trees are replaced with efficient school infrastructure, and all schools without furniture or adequate furniture are provided with same, but to put in place mechanisms to ensure that the growth of schools the growth of school infrastructure and furniture is consistent with the growth of our population, and for that matter, the annual demand for new basic education, so that we don't get into the situation we find ourselves today in the future. That is how I want our politicians to see the situation of schools under trees and then schools without desks.
We appreciate your time this evening. I've been engaging in Efia Starr. He's the executive director of the Africa Education Watch. Now, an easy calm has been restored in Mamubi after a violent clash between supporters of the NDC and the NPP. The clash occurred in Mamubi, or a suburb of Accra, on Sunday during a health walk between the supporters of the two parties. The incident left residents shaken, fearing for their safety. Local authorities are working to ensure peace and prevent further reprisals as the community begins to recover from the unrest. Some residents shared the ordeal.
We are peaceful. We want the police to do their work. So we left the issue into their hands. But when justice is not seen being done, we will lose hope in the police. And therefore, we are not sure we will allow ourselves to be attacked. And we are not sure we will be intimidated in any way. The MP made it clear. So the police should be seen doing their work and justice must be seen done. Otherwise, we will not allow ourselves to be attacked the next time.
Me, I only see, what I see is only two. One for here, the leg where they shoot. The one some small boy before here. And one way they shoot in back. So it be three. But as for the 9 way they talk, that one there's no truth. You always see everything every day.
Yesterday, them day Nima yesterday. So unexpected, where we see say them can't cross the MPP people for here. Where the MPP people they talk them say make them go back, then say no. Make them go back. Make them use the other lane to the Kaukudi way, make them go past the highway, tell them say no. Where unfortunately misunderstanding comes more.
Well, you just heard from some residents of Mamubi, but former President John Dramani Mahama is condemning the act.
I saw what happened the other day in Mamubi, and I hear it was the result of health. The two opposing parties were holding health walks or something, and then there was a clash somewhere. But even if there was a clash, I mean, maybe it might not have led to the loss of lives. But people had weapons, and they fired shots and injured people. The reason why this continues is because there's impunity. Those who have those weapons know that nothing will happen to them. They will do it and get away with it because they are operatives of the system. They are people who belong to the political establishment. I saw one clear picture of one of them holding his pistol. Just watch, nothing will happen to them. And as long as nothing happens to them, it will continue. And that's why often I say that the moral voice of society must be heard. And the moral voice of society resides in our chiefs, our religious leaders, our civil society organizations. It's not that these people are not known. The people are known. The society knows those who fired those shots.
That is former President John Dramani Mahama there. Well, you're still listening to Start Today. We have more details for you after this break.
Charlie, this year's elections, I am really confused. I don't know who to vote for.
Why don't you know who to vote for? Let's listen to one policy JDM says he's going to implement when he's voted.
I think so NDC ban. They be bien juman kitten. My person branch executive na di omo be jim. Say akoko na person hwe poultry farm ketu bi near mao akoko bo no near ton koko na mao near mao aduane a wo de beto aduane ama sika a wo de beto aduane ama.
But why are you laughing? My guy, relax. So this is the reason he wants us to vote for him? Oh, the man hasn't changed one bit. Same old dead goat. Now let's listen to one of the many policies Dr. Bawumia has for the youth.
Jobs would be my major focus. Now, me be training 1 million youth in digital skills.
And see, that's not all. Apart from that, he's going to set up SME Bank to enable SMEs expand, to create jobs for the youth, and also increase demand with the buy now, pay small policy, which is the credit scoring system.
Oh, really?
That's not all, oh. You then let me give you the last one. He says he's going to introduce Buy Ghana First policy to boost local businesses to help them expand and employ more youth.
Wow. Now, I know who I'm voting for come December 7th. Dr. Bawumia, you have my vote.
Yes, so these are but a few of DMB's bold solutions for the youth when he's voted into power come December 7th. I've changed my mind. I'm not voting for JDM anymore. I'll vote for the bold solutions man, Dr. Bawumia. Great decision, my brother. This year, Dr. Bawumia's vote, Yem Fan Cheche.
And yeah,
Vote Dr. Baumia, #1 on the ballot.
Accra gets ready for the ultimate sporting event of the year. Star 103.5 FM, your #1 radio station, presents the Star FM 10 Diplomatic Games.
On Saturday, 26th of October, the world's top diplomats gather for a friendly competition like no other in Accra, Ghana, under the theme Breast Cancer Awareness. Feel it, find it, fight it, and remember, there will be free breast cancer screening.
The venue is the American International School Sports Complex, East Legon, Accra. Time 8 a.m. prompt. The dress code is sporty pink. Activities of the day include
soccer, volleyball, tennis, obstacle race, indoor games, and more.
Who takes home the gold? Look out for our colorful and exciting children's corner. Join us live at the Diplomatic Games with commentary from your favorite Star FM hosts. Don't miss the action at the Star FM 10 Diplomatic Games on Saturday, October 26, 2024 at the AIS Sports Complex, East Legon. Remember, attendance is absolutely free, but registration is compulsory.
Visit www.starfm.com.gh to register for free. This event is in partnership with American International School and supported by Sahara Rise Hospitality, Accra Medical Center.
Fellow countrymen and women, the desperate NPP, realizing that they are losing the 2024 elections, has once again resorted to lies to smear the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The NPP's claim that Mahama was against free SHS and will cancel it when elected is nothing but a barefaced lie calculated to deceive you. John Mahama started the implementation of the progressively free SHS program in 2015 with day students and had a clear plan to expand the program to cover borders, hence cannot be said to be against free SHS. What he has been against is the poor implementation of the program. Contrary to the lies of the NPP, the next NDC Mahama government will improve the implementation of the free SHS program to make it better. We will do this by scrapping the double track system, provide a dedicated source of funding for the program, include private SHS, improve the feeding of our children, and enhance the quality of learning outcomes. Listen to the truth from the horse's own mouth.
Free senior high school education has come to stay. If anybody tells you that I, John Dramani Mahama, son of Efia Mahama, will abolish free SHS when I come, tell the person he's a bloody liar. What I'm against is the poor implementation of the free SHS, which is creating great inconvenience for the parents, for the students, and for the teachers. And one of the things we'll do when we come back into office, and I know inshallah we're coming back into office, is to complete the 200 community day schools that we began, so that we can bring a quick end to the double track system.
Beware of the NPP's lies. Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Star today, first, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from that breather. Up next on the broadcast is a campaign trail. You're simply the best Star 103.5 FM, and EIB remains your 2024 election hub. It is now time to take you on the campaign trail. It is some 5 minutes to 6 p.m. and 55 days to election 2024. And for those who desire to represent the 276 constituencies that make up Parliament, the clock is ticking. My guest this evening contested in 2012, 2016, and 2020. And he is hopeful of success during the upcoming 2024 general election for the NDC. She filed her nominations to contest as the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Tema Central constituency. Will she be the fourth time lucky? And if you're listening to us in Tema Royal Preparatory, Chemu, Community 8 Police Station, Valco Resource Center, Datus, Community 7, Dex, Tema Oil Refinery Clubhouse, Community 9, Tema Parents and its environs. I sit with someone desirous of your votes come December 7. My guest, Abby Bright, has already taken her seat in the studios. Remember that we are live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM. And as always, we love to get interactive with you, so send us your WhatsApp messages on 055-288-0216. Again, it is 055-288-0216. This is your campaign trio. You're welcome once again to the campaign trio. And as I indicated, my guest is already seated in the studios, Abby Bright. Welcome to the campaign trio.
Thank you very much, Tutuwaa, and good evening to you and your crew and all your cherished listeners and viewers, and to all my constituents in Tema Central.
Absolutely.
Across the 11 electoral areas. So let me send my greetings to Horticulture, Republic, Uhuru, Union, Sahara, A-Road, Low Cost, Black Cat, Ottawa, Jatagong, and Valco. Good evening to all of you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time.
Thank you.
You are not new to this. You were telling me that you contested in 2016, 2020, and 2024.
Yes.
Why do you want to do politics?
Well, I think that politics chose me through my nature and my life's mission.
And what's your life's mission?
I think I would describe myself as a glorified social worker.
Okay.
You know, I've always been interested in social causes.
Did you have this mission when you were acting?
I've always had this mission. I mean, acting wasn't a career for me.
Okay.
It was, an opportunity to express myself.
Okay.
Throughout my acting years, I was a management consultant. I did consultancies on communication, and I was, doing business to keep up all of my social causes. So my whole life has been about social work.
Okay.
I'm a development communicator by profession, apart from having studied management before that. And after that, I studied diplomacy and mediation and alternative dispute resolution. So my life's work has always been people-centered. But at the heart of it also was activism about Pan-Africanism and, social democratic causes and ideologies. And so I guess that I didn't realize early enough that that was politics, because I came from this whole school and club that kind of had a disdain for politics.
Okay.
But I guess it was a disdain for the way that we had built up politics culturally. And at some point, you know, the opportunity came to address what I felt were shortcomings in our representation. And from my own little corner, not a little corner actually, Tema is a really big deal. And I just say, listen, you know, Tema has brought you up, Tema has made you who you are. I mean, essentially from your heart and your mind. And so, you know, I owe it to Tema, I owe it to my family, myself even. I owe it to home to step up and apply, you know, all these skills and nature into representing Tema Central.
And how has it been for you?
Well, it's been
a
tough.
young woman venturing into politics in an area that doesn't really open up to the NDC. How has it been for you?
I'm glad that you've described it like that. It's been really tough, but I wear it as a badge of honor because it's one of the things that has broken through a lot of the barriers. As you say, it's an area that wouldn't open up to the NDC.
Absolutely.
But it's also my home. And so it's an area that I understand and I love, irregardless. I'm, you know, a proud member of the NDC. And so it's been my mission and my responsibility to be able to express and encompass these values and what makes me love the NDC, identify with the NDC. You know, I had to challenge myself to stand up to the challenge of getting my people to see what it was that I saw about the NDC's leadership and ideology that could benefit us in Tema Central. And as a development communicator, you have to apply the skills that you've learned, you've honed over time, and your own nature, and your passion and love for Tema Central. So that's where the persistence came in. So the character that I've brought to, you know, my campaign over the years has been complemented by my passion and my love for Tema Central. That's where the persistence is coming. So you said 2016, 2020, and it sounds like a serial failure. But no, when we look at the starting point, the fact that this is a constituency that had no business in the ordinary scheme of things, being competitive, to a constituency that's actually listening to policies and making a decision based on factors that are outside of, you know, ordinary partisanship. I think that we've achieved a lot.
Absolutely.
And this is not just my achievement. It's something that Tema Central is being able, that we can be proud of today. No political party can ever take us for granted. Not the MPP, for whom it's been, you know, a traditional comfort zone, nor the NDC, who's going to be winning it for the first time and can't afford to take it for granted because we can't be sitting comfortably on that seat. We'll have to work hard to prove ourselves and justify the extraordinary faith that we're expecting the people of Tema Central to repose in us.
You say that you're very persistent in, you know, winning this seat, but I engaged your opponent. He was seated right here, Charles Forson, and he's hell-bent on retiring you from politics permanently. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's a shame, number one, that he will assume that losing Tema Central, you know, the contest in Tema Central will retire me from politics. Politics is at different levels. And so I'd like to use this opportunity first to draw our minds to the fact that there's a whole local governance system that we must uphold. I don't intend as a member of parliament to be doing all the work myself. If I don't work to empower, you know, assembly members, unit committee members, if I don't intend to work with a strong assembly and a good mayor, then I must be joking in terms of the work that I intend to realize. There's also a national government with policies. You're expecting that Parliament will come up with policies that answer broad issues. What we're lacking in Tema Central is an articulate representation of our own issues. We've had 12 years in Parliament.
You don't think that Charles Forson can articulate your issues better?
Unfortunately, he doesn't have it. And I say this with a lot of pain because we have worked steadily to improve the standard of discourse in Tema Central. Unfortunately for me, I do not get the opportunity, except speaking by myself, to engage the issues. Because when it comes to the issues, he's totally lost. He's out of touch. He doesn't have the kind of empathy that is required for public service.
Oh, but he calls himself an employer. He's actually very confident that he's been able to employ a number of people, and that will get him the slots.
So he calls himself an employer. But if you are unaware about working conditions generally for people, if you are unaware about the relationships within the constituency and how you're responsible for representing all of those, including those that do not affect you. The fact that you employ people is your personal business.
Okay.
There's several unemployed youth in Tema Central, and that is the tragedy, because we have in Tema Central a unique situation where the whole country might be crying about unemployment, but Tema Central is the last constituency that should talk about unemployment, because we were created as an industrial city. We didn't come there as residents. Everybody came there as a worker. My family, if you include our children, is in its 5th generation. So I'm 4th generation. My grandparents and great-grandparents were, some of the first workers in Tema. And so this is a dream city that was founded on employment, and not only just employment, work and leisure balance. We basically support services for the port. This is where once you dock your ship, if you're going to get down from that ship, everything comes down towards the area that is Tema Central. We house the industrial area. The heavy industrial area is in Tema Central. And the heavy industrial area, is manufacturing industry, big industry. But then we have the light industrial area, which is the foundries, the repairers, the fabricators, and these were supposed to support the industries. So you have basically the pulse of this nation's economy as it was conceived of. So this is a tragedy when you talk of yourself as an individual employer and forget to realize that there's a whole ecosystem that must be represented. How does that qualify him to speak for other employers in Tema Central? For me, that is what is most important. Otherwise, we would be serving this country better if it was just a collection of individual employers, with their fate up in the air. But you need people that are looking at policies that grow businesses, that allow businesses to thrive, so that in turn, they can employ. And that is the situation that we're having in Tema Central, where our representation has failed to be inclusive. If you represent Tema Central, you cannot afford to be speaking only to residents. You must be speaking to and for the industries that employ them, the industries that are the bedrock of Tema Central. The infrastructure-wise, security-wise, all their concerns must be addressed. That in turn makes them responsible back into the communities as it was in the beginning. So this is my mission. And so I honestly don't have a lot of respect for somebody who is unaware about sanitation crisis, because it doesn't affect the area where he and I both live. Somebody who thinks that all the roads in Tema Central are okay because he doesn't venture into the heavy industrial area. I'm not sure if he knows that that is within our boundary of responsibility. It's sad. And over the course of this campaign, I've had cause to painfully lose more and more respect for him, because the issue of Tema Central is so unique, you can't be unaware. And you have no business deciding to try to represent us if you are clueless. And so I'm sorry, but it might sound a bit harsh, but I'm also disappointed that we do not have a platform together to test our ideas and debate them so that each of us gets better.
Okay. Kodjo Mensah is dying to ask you a few questions. But
I'm looking at 2016.
Yes.
When you first entered the race.
Yes.
And I'm looking at your performance in 2016.
Yes.
I saw an improvement in 2020.
Yes.
And so from then till now, what would you say you have learned about Tema Central, the politics in Tema Central, the dynamics in Tema Central that would make that difference that you seek to achieve in 2024?
Okay, so it's been a combination of a lot of things. We've had the opportunity to exercise the relationships. Initially, when you come in, you're coming into hostile territory. So, you have issues of security. That's your biggest challenge. So, even going out to engage issues, it's not easy. Stepping out every day is a prayer and a half, because you're not sure if you're welcome. It's very hostile. But that's where the persistence came in. And today, I move around Tema Central very freely, without fear, because there's a lot more.
Not to cut you, I'll let you answer the question about performance, but talking about security, is it true that you really received death threats?
Yes, I did. But
in 2016?
In 2016, for sure. And in 2016, there was a lot of vandalism. But after a while, they stopped doing that with the more obvious things, billboards and stuff. By 2020, it was more private and very directed, and so you had your cars, your tires being slashed like every week, and some faceless, nameless individuals will try and run you off the road. And if you know me, I'm a very independent person, but this is where I grew up. It's, for me, one of the safest places in the world. Like, it's difficult. I don't imagine that I have to go around with security. I don't think that they're even safer than me. I mean, because everybody's your brother and your sister.
Right.
It's difficult to conceive of family harming you. So it took me a while to adjust the fact that I'm just not this ordinary citizen that is family to everybody, and ordinarily we love each other, to where you're trying to upset a system that, as much as we love you, why are you disturbing the space, And so I didn't take it personally, but then it also put me in more danger. It culminated in, I think, 3 weeks before the 2020 elections, when explosives were set under my cars, blew up at home, so the house also, was in flames. It was really harrowing, because my mom can barely walk, and I was a lactating mother of a 3-month-old. 3-month-old, actually. He was born in 25th July. Yeah. So of a 3-month-old. It was very harrowing, and it's just a few weeks to elections, and that is a very tense period. And it threatened to derail us, because for a few weeks you're homeless. I don't want to go into the details, but it was a really tough time for me.
And none of that deterred you?
No, but that's what everybody else expected. But you see, you reach back and you realize that, look, I've been at this since 2015, actively, and you're thinking, but all I've done is campaign. The policies and the dreams for Tema Central that you know that you need that office to effect are still sitting there, they're still steaming. And you're gaining new insights every day, you're engaging more people, and some people are so interested in what you said the first time. Even though they appear to be in the minority, they're still holding up that hope that, oh, you could do something about this. Have you thought about this? I can't wait to show you how my plans have transformed in terms of gaining weight from 2015 to 2023 and 2024. And it's so exciting. So you sit down and you're burning, you can't sleep. And then all the issues that you were confronted with, and you promise, I can do this tomorrow. They're still waiting, they're still on the burner, and it's a whole complex thing. But if you step out with love every day, and then you see the way that the environment is changing, how time and experience helps people to see the perspective that you were bringing on board, and how the network of family in Tema Central affects each other, to the point where we're all seeing things more from similar points of view than the divergent points of view that we started with before. Also, another thing that's been instrumental is the growth of my party in Tema Central. When Tema Central was carved out from East and West, we were basically the most hopeless part of the NDC's equation in that area. If you see the disparity in the elections results from 2012, that actually put us at number 265, where the 268 in terms of the NDC's rankings for performance, and the MPP's 7th best seat in 2012. So we had a new constituency, no resources. We now had to start to build a party structure that is fit to even sustain any campaign. So we've grown also on that front. Also, you have more people being confident to come out, because one of the things that we had to concentrate on was building the NDC brand, making it fashionable and okay. So I guess that the arts, the culture arts space that I had been involved in, or I am involved in, played a huge role to say, okay, this is acceptable. It's that to be cool, to identify as NDC. Meanwhile, before then, we wouldn't identify. And so that was a gradual process, but I think it normalized the space. And then the persistence, because you didn't give up. I think people respect that. I respect that. It has taken a lot, but I appreciate that part of my growth. And I think it was a necessary growth for me to acquire, to be able to lead the kind of complexities that we have in Tema Central, but also to reassure people in Tema Central, that you're not just making a transition from NDC to MPP, I don't know what word to use, but, autonomy of one political party over the other. NDC is not going to be first-class citizens, and we can't afford that in Tema Central. It's not practical. But the persistence and the proof of love and character, I think, has gone a long way also to shift things to this point.
Are your family supportive of your decision, especially your mom, because you say that she can barely walk? But looking at all of these examples you've cited, explosives around your properties and all of that, are they happy?
Let me use this opportunity to acknowledge my mother, Pauline Bright. And she instilled in me, in fact, my parents are responsible for that primary love for Tema. But especially my mother. I mean, this is where they met and their whole romance and everything. I told you about my family. Everybody's in Tema. But my mother is a pioneer teacher, or at least her career started in Tema as a teacher. Young lady from the age of 18, she was teaching in Tema. So she's been part of the birthing ecosystem of, the areas that call Tema Central today. And for her, even with years outside the country, there was always that sense of come home. And she still maintains that spirit till today. I feel like through me, she gets to do all the things that maybe certain limitations didn't allow her to contribute. Because today she, as they grow older, they have this little stacks of cash, in corners.
In their clothes.
Yes, and so she'll give me, she said, how much do you need for this? Can I give you 2,000? It's funny. I mean, I'm her girl, so, it's my job to take care of her, But today, she doesn't want to hear that you can't do it. She challenges you, and she's actually the reason why I had to take up the challenge.
Okay.
Because she went on a hunger strike for three days, but that is another story. And I mean, she's the one who would be watching today. If nobody is watching or listening, she would be. That's my mother. She's watching. Oh, she's watching. Of course she's watching. Of course she's watching. I love you, Mom. So her name is Pauline Bright, and that is why I'm A.B. Bright. No name change.
Right.
It's, in her honor. She deserves it. But my father, I think, is deeply disappointed still, especially, because the verdict out there from people who know and who are experienced and are gurus said, oh, your daughter is chasing a pipe dream. That's a constituency that they can never win, number one. So, what is this crusade of yours that is so useless in terms of, actually achieving something? That's number one. But number two, I don't think that anybody wants their only daughter to be exposed to, the kind of landscape. It's horrible, the things that he'll hear about me and assumptions, and I mean, that is.
In fact, talking about things that have been heard about you, your opponent says that you're into money sharing and vote buying.
Like, seriously? I don't know, but I mean, all our public interactions have had me accused. I mean, from his own admission, he shares 2,000 CDs, and so I asked
to each
him
delegates.
To not only delegates, like he thinks that that's the response to unemployment.
Okay, so for instance, if my producer Echo goes to Tema Central today and sees him, he's going to get 2,000 Ghana
he say,
cedis.
I'll give you 2,000 CDs, but he's admitted that.
And does that scare you?
Echo is
No, it doesn't scare me. It's on public record. It doesn't scare
Because
me.
it is said that in this game, usually those with deep pockets get to make the impact,
Exactly.
and not necessarily those with the brightest of ideas. Does that scare you?
Not all the time.
Right.
Not where Tema Central has gotten to right now. There was a time in Tema Central is when they say, if you put a goat for MPP, we'll
They would vote for the NPP.
But incidentally, we haven't had that class of people up. I mean, I'm not talking for right now, but I mean, the two former MPs that we have been, quite, respectable men.
Okay.
But I'm saying this is what they will say. But today, I'm not scared about that already because, like I asked him, people are very discerning. They know once you give them 2,000 CDs, they're still in trouble, because what's the criteria? Where are these funds from? He says my own pocket. Is it a loan? Yes. Is it a grant? Yes. There's a total lack of understanding of even what it is that is being done. But the points that I put to him, you can't sustain sharing 2,000 CDs to whomever, because that is not the response. Even if you somehow had some bottomless pit of money, there's no genuine money that is not accompanied by accountability.
Right.
It's possible that some organization will believe in your dream and put $2 million for you to share, dollars maybe, for you to share to people, but there will be strictures around it. There must be some accountability and sense to the sharing. And unfortunately, he's not able to display any of that.
Okay.
But so the fact of just sharing money is not going to do anything. And you see, what maybe people don't understand about why I'm proud to represent Tema Central, it's a constituency of very discerning people.
Okay.
And so one of the contentions that I've made with my party and with my family and with everybody else who refused to, give me the support that I felt I needed, kudos to my mom. She knows her daughter, but that's beside the point. One of the things that I've said to them is, look, you claim that Tema Central is intransigent. We're not going to shift, no matter what. But that's not a fair assumption to make, because you've not putting the effort to service that ground, to engage us, to speak to us in any way that is convincing. And so Tema Central responds to what is obviously the right way.
Okay.
And the right way is a consistent, knowledgeable, empathetic relationship that over time has delivered results in the midst of lack. I don't have money to share around.
Okay.
And even if I did start out with a deep pocket, after almost 10 years doing this kind of politics,
right.
What it does is it breaks down your private business, because maybe elsewhere in the country it's not as bad, but in Tema Central, which is an MPP.
Have your businesses been affected?
Of course. And once you're politically exposed, especially the international agencies and stuff that I would ordinarily consult for,
right.
they're not gonna really touch you, because your network, you can't really move as you should, especially all these years in opposition. So there's a lot of things that have happened on the personal front, that have been very injurious to me. But I've been persistent through it. So what else?
What's your plan for Tema Central? Why should the constituents in Tema Central decide that on the 7th, when they go, they choose the one with the umbrella on the ballot paper?
Well, very interesting.
That question reminded me of a post we saw on social media. Somebody said, if you want to vote for NDC,
vote for the 1, 2, 3. To the 8th one.
Oh my God, that's pure evil. No, but really, incidentally, one of the reasons is that Tema Central has an opportunity now to finally be in line with the national direction. We haven't benefited much from our current MP being on the same side as the current FM. We're looking at the 24-hour economy, and I dare say that when you look at it as is proposed and as it will work out, Tema, for me, is like the poster child for you to work all of that. We're now going to be looking at expanding, decentralizing, manufacturing and processing and industry, to make Ghana in its entirety more of an industrial nation. But you already have the bedrock and the building bones in Tema. So for me, this is your starting point.
Okay.
So it's a time for a lot of opportunity. But you see, the policies are only as good as your subscription to them and their implementation. And so this is where you're coming, this ideological agreement in the first place. I've been instrumental in lending my voice and my contribution to building the 24-hour economy as a concept. Also the Black Star experience, which is something that we've contributed from the culture, arts and tourism space. So for me, the national direction of the NDC this time for me is favoring Tema in a way that I want to put my lobbying skills. I told you I'm a diplomat, and I'm a development communicator, to translate this onto the ground. Because you see, part of the challenges with sustainability of projects or policies is the interpretation on, considering the socio-economic and cultural dynamics and the political dynamics. If you don't interpret them within those contexts properly and communicate them in a way that allows buy-in by all stakeholders, then you have challenges which how sustainable they can be. I'll use Tema as an example. like I
Abby,
said,
unfortunately, we are running out of time. But I would like you to outline 4 policies, reasons for which you believe the people of Tema Central should vote for you over Charles Forson.
Okay, so one of the major ones is the TC Connect program. This is a digitalized platform that links businesses and services to providers and skilled personnel. So here you have, because we have a lot of skilled workers, but the job opportunities and, the alignment is quite a problem. So that is one of the things we want to address. Also is an advocate not only for residents, but also for the companies. So here's a case where we want to also represent the needs of the companies and rebuild the relationship so that they assist us in making our residents who are no longer employed in those industries employable. So they need to assist us with skill development and training in the relevant areas that allow them to recruit locally. So this is one huge leap into solving the unemployment
issue.
Right. Yeah. So another one is under my right opportunities plans is also, of course, the subscription onto things like the Women's Development Bank and Ejumara is support for startups and small businesses, young people and all of that. But like I said,
you're going to be lobbying for people in Tema Central to...
You need to equip them to satisfy the requirements, all of this. To be able to qualify, to access this, you need to put them right. There are also mentorship opportunities and educational opportunities, scholarships and all of that we're going to run through my TC Educare. And there's so much. It's like I said, it's all about lobbying, and the network is important. The relationship is important. The Tema General Hospital is ordinarily supposed to be a referral hospital, not only for Tema, but the wider area. And that is a status that we must recapture. It needs to be ultramodern because it must serve not only residents, but the industries as well. So for me, I'm looking at redevelopment of industry in Tema Central to solve the infrastructure deficit and the unemployment deficit, but also to help businesses thrive, because that will be our major contribution to Ghana as a whole. I don't know if you know, but we house Tor.
Absolutely. So I mentioned that in my introduction.
Yeah, so if we advocate for, revival of industries such as this, we're doing the whole country a service, and that's one of our responsibilities.
And you believe that you have the lobbying skills to get that revived?
The advocacy skills. I have the capacity to look at all sides of the issue. I don't believe that only one part of it is important.
Right.
The whole story. So like I was saying, the security issue in Tema Central is not only for residents. It's also for the industries. That's their number one concern. Infrastructure deficit in Tema Central is not only for residents, it's also for the industries, because they need this to thrive. The healthcare challenges in Tema Central are not only for residents, they're also for industries, because considering the fact that we need to move into accelerated industrialization, you need medical facilities that can handle the kinds of injuries that must be expected. So there's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
I wish that we had a lot more
Unfortunately,
time.
we don't. But
we'll have to do a part 2 of
finally,
this.
I have a
really
question for
There's
you.
something that I have to say about Tema Central.
Okay.
Originally, we have recreational spaces. Those are laid down by Kwame Nkrumah's plan already. Increasingly, they are being encroached upon, and they're being used for other uses than their intended purposes. This is disturbing the work-life balance of residents, from the kids to the elderly. And so we're going to embark on a serious program to reclaim recreational spaces and then make them fit for purpose. We have plans for sports, development, and family life.
We definitely need a part 2 of this, don't you agree?
Sanitation and sewage. This is like killing us right now, and I have a comprehensive plan that we've worked on since 2019. I'm very proud to say that the outgoing MP at least recognized the value of some of my plans. Even last year, he launched the TC Connect. So I'm looking forward to having him support me to make it a reality.
Over Charles. I see.
No,
but
once
briefly.
Once I'm MP, they have a responsibility, both the first one, because he was a champion for sports, especially Colts football.
Right.
And I think that that's a project that we want to continue.
Okay. Briefly, as one of the NDC spokesperson on the creative arts sector, on a scale of
Culture, arts, and tourism.
Absolutely. on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Ekufado's performance in that sector?
I think it's disappointing because it's all staged.
So on a scale of 1 to 10?
2.
2 out of 10.
Yes, because
Too tough,
yeah, he's done a year of return. But this has nothing to do with you and I. We are Ghanaians. We must be patrons of our tourism festival. What happens from January to November and after?
Right.
It's not just December.
December and December after, and after the December.
Okay.
And the
Fantastic.
December.
Evie, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I believe that Kodjo Mensah shares the same view.
I do, and I can't wait for part 2 of this.
I cannot wait.
And I promise, I promise, I will not go too far.
But you don't ask me about that guy. Let's just talk about that. We're moving forward.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
That was Emmy Bright. Absolutely.
You're welcome.
The NDC's parliamentary candidate for Tema Central. That wraps up a campaign trail and starts today by extension. Thank you very much for tuning in to Starr today. For more news updates, please visit starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso.
And I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. And it's been a wrap right here on Starr today. Do join us same time tomorrow. And remember, big thanks to production team led by Ekos, Kean and Prince, Benjamin, Ima, Joey, all making it happen right here on Starr 103.5 FM.
Absolutely. Have a good evening.